Tonight on 5 Follow-Up, we're going to talk about the proposed Children's Museum for Eastern Maine, where the project stands and how you can help. Well, by now you've probably heard about plans for a Children's Museum here in Eastern Maine. Tonight we're going to get an update on plans for that museum. Joining us tonight is Sean Faircloth. He is the project director. And Sean, thanks for coming on 5 Follow-Up.
Good to be here.
We've heard a lot about the Eastern Maine Children's Museum in the past year or so. Give us an update on where the project stands.
Well, right now we are still completing our seed money campaign, which we kicked off in September. We've had great sponsors like WABI-TV helping out with this project, which we really appreciate. The Bangor Daily News was tremendous in kicking off the financial end of our seed money campaign. And it's really been going like gangbusters. As your viewers probably know, the city of Bangor pledged matching funds up to $25,000 for our total $55,000 budget. And just recently, Harvard Pilgrim Healthcare contributed a leadership pledge of $10,000. And Mr. Sear, Joe Sear, and John T. Sear and Sons up in Old Town contributed $2,500. So that puts us within $2,500 of our $55,000 goal. So it's been going tremendously well. Our development chair, Christopher Spruce, had projected us completing the campaign by spring, and we're hoping to meet that goal and maybe ahead of it.
So $55,000 was your original goal, the seed money goal, if you will. What are the plans for that money?
The biggest chunk of it relates to feasibility studies, a market feasibility study, business plan, financial feasibility study. In fact, we recently issued an RFP, a request for proposals, and any viewers who are interested are welcome to apply up to January 12, where we're looking for folks who think they could help us with a financial feasibility study. That'll be an exciting step of this project because that's really kind of provides a framework for what we do with the Children's Museum. And a lot of our volunteers who are very enthusiastic and excited are awaiting the result of that so we can really put some structure to what kind of museum and what kind of capital campaign, major capital campaign we would have to be involved with.
You've kind of taken on the title of project director for the Children's Museum, but I know you also are involved with Partnerships for Healthy Communities. Tell us a little bit about what the role of that group is here.
Right. Well, Partnerships for Healthy Communities, my employer, thought and considered a children's museum really a year ago and had some study and meetings about it and decided it was something we wanted to bring to the community. Late spring of 1997, we had a large community forum, asked the public to attend and just give their ideas. And as you know, the reaction was very enthusiastic, and that made us decide to go forward. So Partnerships for Healthy Communities is the sponsor, the 501c3 of this project. We are dedicated to improving the wellness both economically, spiritually, socially of the Eastern Maine region. And this is one project that really seems to have captured the imagination of the community. In fact, Partnerships held our annual retreat just recently, and we'll be unveiling another project or two soon, which I think will be also exciting in its own way. But Partnerships is very proud to be involved with the Children's Museum project.
Seems like we've been talking about a Children's Museum for Eastern Maine for quite some time, or at least the idea has been there. Mm-hmm. But it's only now that, or in the last year or so, that it seems to really be coming to the forefront. It seems like it's long overdue.
Well, I think it is, and I think people are finally coming around it because of some trends recently. Because we see it as a twofold value to this project. One, first and foremost, is helping young people. It's an exciting, it's kind of an amusement park for your brain, if you will. And it's great fun for young people. And anyone who's ever been to a children's museum in some other region of the country and comes back to Bangor says, we need something like that here. So that's the initial excitement about it. But secondarily, but equally important, the business community and civic leaders are coming around this project because they see the value of what's now termed cultural tourism for economic growth of the region. It has some real advantages because in the winter months, of course, young people can come here, tourists can come who use our winter resources for recreation and come to a children's museum as well. During the summer months, there are, of course, millions of folks who come down to Acadia Park, and drawing a few of those folks here to this area would be dramatic for the whole region and more locally for some revitalization to our city itself. So it's really an exciting project in both those ways: economic development, children's growth, and economic growth.
Seems like most big cities do have a children's museum. I'm not quite sure how many we have in Maine. I guess Portland does have a museum. Are there any others? And obviously, how well are they doing?
Well, I think in New England, I'm trying to recall the exact figure, but there may be 18 children's museums in the region. In northern New England, I think there's 7 or 8, and of those, only one, Portland, is in a city larger than Bangor. So it's entirely feasible for us. In fact, one of the exciting things we've been doing is getting sponsors and mentors for the project. Folks out in Santa Fe, New Mexico, which is a community of comparable size, have been very glad to offer help and advice. We also are in contact with some folks in Lafayette, Louisiana, which is the Cajun country down in Louisiana. And the woman who's the director down there was very excited about us starting up, not only by offering advice now, but once we do have an existing museum, she's very excited about it because of the Franco-American connection and perhaps creating sister children's museums because of that relationship we have.
We're talking with Sean Faircloth. He's the project director for the Eastern Maine Children's Museum. We'll hear more from Sean when we come back. Welcome back, everyone. We're talking with Sean Faircloth tonight. He's the project director for the proposed Children's Museum for Eastern Maine. And Sean, we had initially talked about your initial goal of $55,000 for the feasibility and request for proposal. Where do you go from there after you have that study done?
Well, when we get the results of that study, then the next big step really is assessing what type of major capital campaign we would have if, assuming the feasibility comes back positive and says that we should go forward with this project. It will provide some structures to what type of museum, what size, what floor space. Those types of issues will be in part answered, not fully answered, but in part answered by the results of those studies. And that will help determine how much money we need to raise. For basis of comparison, most of these children's museum projects are a multi-million-dollar effort. So it's no small undertaking, that's for sure.
Now, this proposed museum, I would assume that it would encompass eastern, central, northern Maine, down east Maine? Exactly.
Well, we view it as a major institution. In fact, we were speaking with some civic leaders about this project very early on, and Jim Dow, the president of Bangor Savings Bank, I think put it well in one conversation where he was saying that we should think about this as a major cultural facility. If you're going to do it right. And we want something where if someone visits us from Canada, from the Maritimes, from Quebec, from down in southern New England, say, you know, this is someplace that's interesting and exciting enough that we would travel to go see it, that it's a tourist attraction, again, a tourist attraction for your mind, but something that draws people to it. So we don't even view it as something that's for this region. We view it as something that we hope to garner a national reputation for.
Now, is it probable that a museum, if it comes to fruition, would be located in Bangor, or it could be anywhere?
We have a site review committee, and all your viewers are welcome to attend our meetings to participate in those. One of those is the site review committee. They have called for many suggestions we've received about possible sites. They've tried to compare those to site criteria. Children's museums have some unique needs for a facility, loading docks and various other things that we need to consider. And they're going to start going through those one by one and say, well, is this particular one even feasible? And then narrow the list down even more. And that's still in the early stages, so certainly if any viewer is interested in that process or has suggestions for a potential site, please let us know, because it's wide open. I mean, some have suggested building new, others suggest renovating an existing site, or potentially leasing an existing site. So there's a lot out there, and anyone who has ideas about the best way to do it, they're welcome. It's a volunteer effort.
I know in talking to you in the past, that's a key word right there, volunteer effort. You tout the volunteers. I know a lot of the people on the committees are very well-known people in the community, and they're volunteering their time for this.
Well, exactly. I mean, one of the things that Partnerships cares about so much is that it be a community effort. That's the philosophy of Partnerships for Healthy Communities, is rather than going to the community and saying, this is a great idea, you do it. That's why we held that forum, was to see what the Eastern Maine region thought about this. When we had that positive reaction, we wanted the people of this region to drive the project. And I always encourage people to get involved and to call up. I'm always plugging it here, but have your viewers, please, if you're interested, call 973-7090. That's our volunteer line. And also, even if you can't make every single meeting, you can get on our mailing list and get our newsletter and find out and keep up with what's going on. It's a free newsletter at this point. And so many people are interested and excited about this that even if they can't participate by coming to every meeting, they can come to some meetings and know what's going on and help with the project in that way.
We've got a graphic here. The next meeting is coming up very soon. You have a special guest at this meeting as well.
That's right. We're really excited to have at our January 15 meeting Thursday evening at 6:30 at Rangeley Hall at Eastern Maine Technical College. We're going to have a gentleman named Brewster Buttfield. And Brewster Buttfield is an expert in exhibit design at children's museums. He's designed about 8 major exhibits himself. He's really an impressive character with a long history and background and profession in this field. We have a design committee. They're excited about learning new ideas about exhibit design, so it's going to be tremendous. And again, the public is welcome. Anybody who wants to come, we'd love to have them.
And I'd be remiss at this point if I didn't bring up the Channel 5 Eastern Maine Children's Museum calendar, which you can still
terrific,
get
yeah.
early 1998, and for a donation, suggested donation of $5, and all the money goes to the museum.
That's right. Suggested donation of $5 for Channel 5. We really appreciate Channel 5 doing this. That you've been a tremendous contributor to this process and really generated a lot of the community notice and excitement that really has made it such a worthwhile effort.
All right, Sean Faircloth, the project director for the proposed Eastern Maine Children's Museum. Thanks for coming on.
Hey, thank you. It's great being here.
All right, and thank you for joining us tonight.